All right, welcome back to Drive Through Confessionals, a special Cole's birthday edition. Getting ready for our Trig quiz. Also a special shout out to Ashley, who we missed last shout out. So hi Ashley Webster. Okay, we are going to do numbers 3, 8, 13, and 15 from your pre-calc quiz review on trig functions and of general angles. So for number 3, it starts by just plotting the points. So the point that we're getting is -6, 8. So I go left 6, I go up 8, and I just get a general idea of what that's going to look like. From there, I take that point and I make it into a radius. Okay? That's our radius. Why is it a radius? Because this is angular rotation. So that thing is spinning around and around and around and around and around. Now, we always draw our reference angle down to the x, and so that is our reference angle right there. That'll help you on some future problems. We know that we went left 6. Left is negative. And that we went up 8. The directions say to find the exact values of the 6 trig functions. We cannot do that until we find our r. So -6 squared plus 8 squared equals r squared. A very popular mistake in here today is that people have forgot that -6 squared is indeed positive 36, because a negative times a negative is a positive. And then plus 64, you get 100. The square root of 100 is 10. This is a Michael Jackson of right triangles, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Only this time it's 6, 8, 10. It's been doubled. All right, so from here, we just need to have good notes. You know that the cosine, let's start with the sine. According to our notes, the sine of theta is y over r, so that is 8 over 10. The cosine of theta is x over r, so that is -6 over 10. We don't even need to reduce these fractions if you don't want. You can, you don't have to. Okay? The tangent of theta is y over x, so that is 8 over -6. And then the cosecant is just the reciprocal of the sine, so we just flip it. The secant is just the reciprocal of the cosine, so we just flip it. And the cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent, and we just flip it. Okay? Now we move on to number 8. The directions for number 8 state to sketch each angle and to find its reference angle. In number 8, it's difficult because the angle they give us is not in degrees, and it's hard to sketch those. You're fine. Oh, thanks, Sam. I'll talk to you later. So, what we need to do is turn it into degrees, and that is done by multiplying by 180 and getting rid of the pi by division. This is 2 times 180 over 3, which is 120 degrees. Now we have a much better idea of what this is going to look like. A 120-degree rotation takes us to the second quadrant. It says to find the reference angle. In the second quadrant, on your notes that I gave you today, you will see that the reference angle is equal to 180 minus theta. Theta is the given angle. So for this one, we'll do the reference angle is 180 minus 120. And so your reference angle is 60 degrees. Just so you understand what the heck that means, this is a 120-degree rotation, but when we make our right triangle, that leaves us a 60-degree angle left. And that's what we're finding. That's what the reference angle is is. Okay? Now we move on to number 13. By the way, 8 was the leading vote getter for drive-through confessionals. So that's one you're going to want to study. 13. The cosecant of 210 degrees. Well, our calculator doesn't have a cosecant button. But we have to recognize that the cosecant is the reciprocal of the sine. So if we can type this in our calculator right, first, make sure that your calculator is in degree mode, which should say DEG at the bottom of it. And what we want to type in our calculator is 1 divided by parentheses sine 210, close the parentheses. As I do that, 1 divided by parentheses sine. You get a negative 2. And that indeed is our answer. Okay? Okay. And the final vote getter was number 15. Cotangent of 7 pi over 4. A very similar question. Cotangent of 7 pi over 4. Okay. First step, turn the radians into degrees. So take 7 pi over 4 and multiply it by 180, divide by pi to get rid of the pi. So you get 7 times 180 divided by 4. Oh, what is that? 225? $315. Okay, so what we really want is the cotangent of 315 degrees. Oh, I didn't have to switch that over. I could have just turned my calculator into radians. Duh. Okay, all right, we'll do this 2 ways. I'm doing it the hard way. So that's the same thing as 1 divided by the tangent of 315 degrees. And you get negative 1. Okay? The much better way to do that would be to turn your calculator into radians and do 1 divided by the tangent of 7 pi over 4 radians. So 1. Let's get our mode right. So turn it into radian mode. Rad. And you also get negative 1. Perfect. Good luck on your quiz. I'm really pulling for you guys to do great stuff. Yeah. Number 4. Sure. We have a late edition. Oh, I understand. It's a great, I'm so glad you chose this one. Number 4 involves a 0. It says find the 6 trigonometric functions for the point that is ending at 7, 0. So that's this point right here. All right, so there's no triangle being formed there. Does that make sense? So if we did 0 squared plus 7 squared equals r squared, you're going to get 7 squared equals r squared. You take the square root of both sides. R is also 7. So we know that our x is 7, our y is 0, and our r is 7. Okay? So now, just do like you normally would, but remember that in math you're not allowed to divide by 0, because the answer is infinity, which is undefined. Okay? So, sine of theta is y over r, so it's 0 over 7, which is just 0. Okay? Cosine of theta is going to be 7 over 7. That's going to be 1. Tangent of theta is y over x, so that's 0 over 7, which is also 0. So far, no problems. Now, when we flip them, we're going to have to use our math sense. So, I'll just change colors and go over here. Cosecant of theta is 7 over 0, which is undefined. Oh gosh, undefined. Undefined. Okay, because there's a 0 on the denominator. Secant of theta is going to be the reciprocal of 1 over 1, which is just 1 over 1, which is just 1. And finally, cotangent of theta is 7 over 0, which is undefined. Shout out to Mrs. Palmer, to Rachel. And now we have another late edition, number 16. Sine of theta is 4/5. And we know that theta is in the second quadrant, Cole? That's not a cue. Okay, so once again, like so many other things, we're going to start with a picture. We're just going to draw that in the second quadrant. We're going to create our reference angle. We know that sine is y. This is our y over r. That's our r. So I picked this piece of information from this. That's important. We're missing our x. X squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. Those of you that have been following along at home know that that's the Michael Jackson of right triangles, and x is going to be 3. If not, you'll just do x squared plus 16 is 25. X squared is 9. X is 3. And from there, we have to interpret this and understand that x is not 3. It's negative 3. Because that point right there is negative 3, 4. So kind of think about how that compares to the first question that you asked me to do. And now you say sine of theta is 4/5. Cosine of theta is negative 3/5. Tangent of theta is 4 over negative 3. And then you'll flip them all. So cosecant is 5/4. Secant, 5 over negative 3. And cotangent is negative 3/4. We're seriously done now.